My pretty awkward friends, we are back with a heart to heart Friday episode. And this one's going to be a little different, dare I say. I mean, these Friday episodes are just what's going on in life. And sometimes it's very much behind the scenes business stuff. And I'll share a little bit of what's going on behind the scenes of business stuff and what we have going on for the rest of the month. But I really wanted to use this heart to heart to share about the couples retreat that my husband and I just went on because it was so incredible. It was probably it was the most amazing retreat I've ever been to. And I've been to quite a few in-person things, and I've been to great retreats. I've been to amazing mastermind events. And this is like probably apples and oranges. So I don't even know if I could say it's the best because it was like not business, it's your relationship, which we talked a lot about business, of course. But it was just so incredible to be around these other couples who were so committed to their marriage, so committed to, as they kept saying, going all in. And it was really inspirational. And, I wish everyone could do something like that. I know it is not in the cards for every person because it's, costs money. And I think some of the things, though, I'm trying to talk the creators of this into licensing or creating like a masterclass or a course on how to do your own version of the retreat, because what they put together, what we went over, I think definitely could be put into something like that. And I'm like, you guys gotta like create something that's for people who can't attend, because this was so amazing. And I just think everyone needs to have access to this in some way. Obviously, in person is the most magical. And so I'll share a little bit about like the structure, the intention, et cetera. But Mike and I last Wednesday drove up to Colorado, or up and over, I guess. We're going east. Yes, we're in Vegas. We drove through a little bit through Arizona, mainly through Utah. And man, Colorado and Utah too, was beautiful, is so gorgeous. It was breathtaking. And I've been to Colorado once before in 2012. I went to Denver for 2 nights, but my car had broken down. So it wasn't in the best mood. I didn't have the best outlook. It wasn't Colorado's fault. It was my car's fault. But, I remember being like, oh, it's so beautiful. I want to come back. And so getting to drive through it and spend 5 days there was really, really special and just breathtaking. I'm like, I get the hype. I understand why people love it there. It's really gorgeous. So the first day we drove up on Wednesday, we dropped Luna off at the boarding place, and man, was it sad. It was so sad to say bye to her, but this place is great. She literally plays with dogs all day. She's running around with dogs all day. We get her extra cuddle and, it's so silly. Cuddle time and playtime. So she gets like some private cuddle and playtime. I'm like, this is so ridiculous, but she's like such a human's dog. Every dog is, I guess, but she loves people so much. And she's such a cuddle bug. Like, we have just raised her to be such a needy, cuddly dog. And she's with us so much. And it was just so cute. So we dropped her off and I cried. I literally cried in the car. It's fine. So that was fun. And we were off and we drove 9 hours. We only took, I think, 1 break. We drove almost straight through 9 hours to Vail, Colorado, which was breathtakingly beautiful. And it's not even like the winter there, and it was still so gorgeous. And we got there late. So we got some food and watched a little bit of Married at First Sight. That's the new show that we're watching together, because now we're just addicted to reality TV. And it was really fun. I fell asleep. And then the next morning, it was kind of awesome. I have an old friend from Beachbody who we got started together. We were success partners together, and she ended up joining a different network marketing company. And so we kind of lost touch. And then I left Beachbody, and we've been like in and out of contact over the last few years. And she had messaged me a few days before I was going to be in Colorado, just asking about my business and how we branched out, and asking if I could help her and all of that. And she actually has joined my program, and we're working together in a one-on-one capacity a little bit now, which is so exciting. But she literally messages me 2 days before I go to Colorado. And I was like, wait, you're in Colorado, aren't you? How close are you to Vail? That's where we're staying. She's like 45 minutes. So she came to Vail. And that morning, before we headed off to our rest of our drive, we got coffee and we hung out for like an hour, and I got to meet her adorable daughter. And I got to walk through the little Vail village, and it was just so beautiful. It reminded me of Frozen. I felt like I was in the movie Frozen. Like it was so gorgeous. I was like, yep, I get it. Again, I get it. I understand. I understand the hype here. It was so amazing to see her and just gave me so much life. We both left that conversation going, wow, like this was so exciting. And I just love reuniting with people that I really cared about and had a great relationship with. So it was so fun. And then Mike and I left around like noon that day, we were going to a place called Red Feather Lakes, which is like an hour from Fort Collins. And that's where everyone from the retreat was from, Fort Collins. We were the only people not from Colorado driving in. And it was just awesome though. It was so great. And so this town is like a tiny little town, really, really, really small. Like there's like one liquor store and one like convenience store. And it's really just for this little resort place. And it was beautiful, like so beautiful there. So we drove to the resort and we checked in. And then we went to the first night, which was mainly just a get together, getting to know the other couples, some icebreaker exercises, dinner, and basically setting our intentions for the weekend. And it was wonderful. And then we passed out. We were so tired that night from driving so much. And Mike drove the entire time. I did not drive once. I volunteered, but he is a control freak when it comes to driving. But I worked a lot and I read a lot. So I napped a little bit. I actually love car rides. I nap really well. And I'm one of those weirdos who can actually read and do work in the car and don't get sick. So I get a lot done on car rides. It's actually some of my most productive work, I must say. And so then on Friday was like the first full day. We had breakfast, I think at like 8:30. And then we started around 9. And on Friday, I actually have this book out that we took all of our notes in and have all these incredible prompts in it and stuff. But I have the schedule out on Friday. Let's see, what did we do? We did couple time for about 2.5 hours. So after we gathered as a group and did some reflections, they set the stage for the first part of the day, which was really about daydreaming your 1 year, 5 year, and 10-year goals, your bucket list, and then your travel plans for the year. And so during that time, they would check in individually with a few of the couples. And so Mike and I really sat down and were like, right, what's our vision for this next year? What are some things that we really want to accomplish? Where do we see our life a year from now? Where are we living? What are we doing? What's our family like? What's our finances like? What's our businesses like? What's our business together like? Like there's so many things going on in our life. And so we did that, and then a 5-year vision, and then a 10-year vision. And it's funny because so many things that like we've kind of said here and there were like actually written down and set in stone in a sense. And things that we just kind of were too nervous to say. And like, we want to invest in lots of real estate and we want to get going on that. And that's something we're actively working on to do our first or our second. We have a home in Vegas, but we want to buy our first home in New York. And then I want to buy our first property next year, hopefully by the end of next year, that will be outside of New York, because New York is really mostly for us. We want to raise a family in New York and all of that. So we just like started to put these like dreams on paper, and there's just something so magical about doing that and going, wow, okay, like we're dreaming this together. This is our life together. And it was so powerful. And then we came back for lunch and debriefed and went around as a group and like talked about our ahas during that time. And that was kind of some of my favorite times, were the debriefs, because it was so cool to hear from all the other couples and the ahas they had, or the struggles they had, or the arguments they had. And the coolest thing about this was all the couples were such different stages of life. Like there was a couple who was around our age, maybe a slightly bit older, like late 30s. And then there was a couple who was around our age and starting a family. And then there was a couple who was in their, I think, early 40s, mid 40s. They had kids who are almost graduating high school. And then a couple's in their 60s who have kids who are my age. So it was just like so cool to see the couple in their 60s married for 37 years, and we felt so inspired by them. And the fact that they're still going to things like this and strengthening their marriage and being so proactive, they're like starting so much of their life in many ways at this new stage of life. And then they said they were so rejuvenated by the younger couples, by us. And so it was so freaking cool. Like I can't get over how incredibly special that group of people was. And we're always going to be connected in such an amazing way. Because as Mike kept saying yesterday, he was like, I have such one of our relationship coaches, James, he says vulnerability hangover. And I've heard that term before, but man, Mike was like, I have a vulnerability hangover so bad. And from driving so much the last few days, he was like so tired yesterday. And I'm recording this on a Wednesday before the episode drops. We got back on a Monday. That's when we actually drove the rest of the way. And yesterday I worked, I didn't have anything on Monday, obviously, but I had some calls yesterday. I had a lot of work to do. I had some mentorship calls for my own coaching, with my coach, I should say. And so it was more like giving to me, I guess. So it didn't feel as like exhausting, but he was just so like vulnerability hangover, because the whole weekend we're being so honest, so vulnerable, sharing really like deep things, embarrassing things, things that we're not proud of, things that we're scared to admit, things that we have to work through. And it was a lot. It was a lot. And we're doing this with strangers who soon became like, I've told these people things and Mike told these people things that we barely had told our closest friends. It was so incredible just to have that intimacy with these strangers so quickly. And I mean, it just speaks volumes to the creators, Angela and James, who have been our relationship coaches for a year and a half. We've worked with them. And that was really the reason we went, is we were like, we just want to meet them, honestly. And they've given us this outline to craft your year together, basically what they do the whole weekend, which I'm going to walk you through. But it wasn't like, we never did it. We never did it ourselves. You know what I mean? It was like, you could have a prompt and go, okay, now go do it. But when you were actually with people and having specific time, and that's the intention, and you put your dog in boarding and you drove 12 hours and you're staying over and you're not working for those days, you're making sacrifices and you're being really intentional. And that was the whole part. Their brand, their business is called Love Intentionally. And it's all about being so intentional with your marriage and not leaving anything up to chance, like being really intentional about your crafting this amazing life you want together. So on that Friday after lunch, we went on to discuss family and health and wellness. And then they did an individual check-in with us. And so we dove deep into like family planning, how we want to raise our kids, all that kind of stuff. And then we had a little debrief again with everyone and a happy hour. And then we had dinner. And then we had some fun. We just like chilled and we did some karaoke, which was so fun. James is a great singer and a musician as well, a guitar player. So he sang some songs, and then they twisted my arm to sing karaoke. They didn't have to twist it too hard. So I sang a couple songs, and then Mike and I sang a couple songs, and I was so excited because he doesn't usually like to sing. And we had so much fun. Like, it was so, so fun. I shared one of the videos on Instagram, and he's like, you better not share me singing. So it's just me singing, but he did sing. And it was so fun. We had a great time and went back, crashed, so tired. The next day we had breakfast, and then we did another like group gathering first before we broke into couples and did financial and career. And this for me and Mike was the biggest topic we wanted to tackle, because we have really big financial goals, but we have very different financial blueprints. They had us take this quiz. It's like a money blueprint quiz, and we've taken it before. And I'm the saver and the spender at the same time, or I'm the risk averse and the spender. I have basically two personalities that are conflicting. And so it's a lot of turmoil. And I was like, yeah, that sounds about accurate. That my brain is a lot of times arguing with each other. And Mike is the spender and risk taker. So he's like, let's go, let's invest, let's do this. We don't need liquid money. We're very different in that way. And that's always been a tense topic for us. Money was a huge part of our separation. It was a really big thing that caused us to get to the place of separating, a lot of distrust around money. And we will definitely expand on that in our new podcast that's coming out soon. Meg and Mike Do Marriage. I'm so excited about it. We're just getting kind of like some stuff together. We want to film the first few episodes, have that ready to go, have our social plan ready. Like, I'm not going to be super strict with it. Like, I have to have a certain amount of posts every week or anything like that. But I want to do it right. Like, when we drop an episode, I want to be able to have a system where we know what kind of content we're putting out. And so coming back post launch, and, basically we had the launch, I had a VIP day, and then we pretty much left for the retreat. And so it's kind of like, just I need to calm down after the storm, they always say the calm before the storm, but also after. I guess it's more so the like, okay, let's clean some stuff up. It was nothing like bad, obviously all great things, but just kind of a little relaxation. And so I was like, I want to launch it by May 1st. I'm like, why did I think I could do that? So we're going to hopefully record the end of this month and launch it either the end of this month or beginning of June. We really wanted to launch it when we were in New York, we're going to New York very, very soon. I'm going on Saturday. He's coming a week later. And so we'll see what we can get done, but it's going to be amazing. I'm so freaking excited. But the financial part was huge. And we had some really honest and transparent conversations. Mike specifically got really honest about just his process on money and what he thinks and some habits he wants to change. And it was the most honest conversation we've ever had about money. We had such a breakthrough around this, and we have really big goals as a family. And I feel like we are 100% going to get there now. Like there was something holding us back before for me personally, where I just didn't trust that it was going to happen. And after going through this process, I'm like, wow, we're on the same page now. We're laying it all out on the table. And it's just like when I think about my business and his business a few years ago, because this is a lot of reflection we did, we were so separate. We were so competing. We were like at competition together. Everything was like, this is mine, this is yours. There was no, this is ours. There was no shared, there was no team. And it's just so wildly different today. Like we really do look at our businesses like our businesses, even though this is my business and I create the content and I do the coaching and all of that. He has an investment in it. And same with his poker. Obviously it's his poker business because I don't play poker, but I have an investment in it and I want to support him. And it's so wildly different. It's so crazy. And for the first time, I'm like, we could do this. And we're just getting so creative. Like I used to look at my business as the end all be all. Like, this is it. This is the only way to make money. And I feel like I do that sometimes. I did that when I was in Beachbody. I remember going, I'm going to be a millionaire Beachbody coach. And that's the only thing I can ever do. And obviously that didn't happen. I left very quick to go do my own and got there way quicker than I would have if I stayed there. But, there's just so many opportunities. There's so many ways to build wealth. And we have so many different things we want to do. Many ideas. And it's really for us, that was a huge conversation we had, was focus, because it is so easy to want to do so many things. And Mike especially is such a dreamer and he's got so many amazing ideas and tends to split his attention. And so we had to get really honest about, you're going to focus on this one thing right now. And so our big focus is my business and bringing that up to speed where we want it to be, really, really consistent high cash months, and really focusing on getting that. And then my Meg and Mike do marriage, our Meg and Mike do marriage. And we have some really cool goals with that. And then his poker, and hyper focusing on that to really save for that first investment or second investment property. Cause we want to, get a New York home first, which we'll rent it out, but it's going to be, my papers. I dropped all my papers. It's going to be more so our home that, when we are traveling, we can rent out. So anyway, we really set these goals and it was just so breakthrough for us. It was absolutely incredible. And then we had a debrief, had a lunch. And then in the afternoon, we went through the relationship section. So talking through intimacy, sex, I don't know if religion and spirituality was that day. Let me look really quick, but it was mainly intimacy, sex. I think it was household chores, management of the household, conflict, how you resolve conflict, communication, how your communication is, things like that. And then how our couple time and fun is, what do we do date nights wise, etc. And that was really, really awesome. That actually we felt really confident in, because all of those areas I just mentioned, we've been really actively working on with our coaches. So we felt pretty confident in that and kind of breezed through that and took a nice nap because we did that quick. We're we're going to take a nice nap. And then we went back and had dinner, did a debrief, and then had just alone time for a while. But it was so, so incredible. And then the Sunday before we left, we had breakfast there. Then we went over final topics: social life, friendships, community service, and spirituality, religion. And then did some individual check-ins with our coaches, had lunch, did a little wrap-up ceremony, gratitude. And man, that was really emotional. It was we became so close with all these people so quickly. And again, we're so vulnerable and intimate and sharing really personal things, and just commending everyone for doing that and going around and speaking our gratitude. And we felt a lot, Mike and I felt, or at least I felt, I can't speak for him. I felt so much FOMO because they all live in Fort Collins. And I was like, I don't live there. We're okay, do we need a property in Fort Collins now? Is that on our bucket list? But it was so great just to meet everyone and get to know them. And we got everyone's number and email and all that. So we're going to stay in touch. And we have many, many reasons now to go visit Colorado, but it was just so beautiful. I know I've said the word incredible, amazing so many times in this episode, but it really, really was. And, on the way back, like anytime I either go to a retreat or I host a retreat, there's kind of this come down. It's like, again, it feels like a hangover. And we were driving home. We drove on Sunday. It ended at 2. We drove about 7-ish hours, I think, to Provo, Colorado, where BYU is. We were like, oh, this is where the college BYU is. Interesting. And so we didn't realize that. And so we stayed there for the night. And then Saturday we left early. We left at like 7 a.m. because we wanted to get to Luna as quickly as possible. And it was about 5 hours. We picked her up around 11:30 because we gained an hour, which was cool. And that was so fun and exciting. And then honestly, we were so exhausted. Like I did a bunch of work in the car. I wrote some content, emails, client stuff. I prepped a little bit for the week. So I actually got quite a bit done early in the day. And then once we got home, I unpacked and I was just like out of it. I was so sleepy. I read a bunch and then we just relaxed because we were so tired from so much emoting, so much vulnerability, so much, gosh, it's just, when you talk about deep stuff, like emotional tiredness is so much more heavy than physical to me. Like I've been physically tired, but when I'm emotionally drained, oof, that is just another level. And it was from good emotional drainage, if you will. That sounds funny, but it was for a good reason. It was such a strengthening. And the biggest takeaway overall, I'll say, is all of these couples, they are all in. And that's something that our coaches kept saying is like, they decided they're all in. They're all in. And Mike and I'm getting chills now saying this, like we're all in. And it's so wild to say that because a few years ago we were separated, and to now be coming off of a retreat, mapping out our dream life and our year and our finances and our family planning and being like, we're all in. I hope it brings you hope. And it's why we're starting this separate podcast, because I know we went through all that for a reason. And it's just the transformation we've had has been absolutely unreal. And I know not a lot of people have those hopeful examples. The majority is not good examples, not good, but the majority doesn't end in staying together. It's just how it is. And so we really, really are excited to do that podcast just to bring that hope. But when I was coming home, of course, every time I go to something like this, whether it's a couples retreat or it's a business thing or whatever, I'm always so inspired and slightly overwhelmed and tired. And that was totally what I was feeling one day. I was like, okay, I want to do everything, but I'm sleepy. So it was like, structuring all that and realizing like, I can't do everything I want, but there's lots I want to do. And yeah, it was a lot. And, for anyone who's kind of in that stage where you're a little overwhelmed and you're wanting to do so many things and you're like, what do I pick first? I really want you to think like, one, what is something you're so excited about? What are you genuinely excited to create or already have that you want to sell, or a project you want to work on? Like what will really get you amped up to work on it? And then second, after that, looking at your options, what will bring in income and can support you and can help fund those dreams, right? Because I'm not going to lie, like our financial goals are big, and we have like a lot of goals to hit this year. Like we have a lot. When I say year, I mean from May to May, because we did, a year. And it's going to require, I don't want to say hustle because I think that word gets a bad rap, but we're going to be working our butts off. We're always, always, always going to prioritize our relationship and our time together, and we'll never burn out or anything like that. I will never do that because I've been on the brink of it and I just refuse. You know that. If you've listened to these episodes, you know that. But we're kind of in like a season of let's get shit done. Let's like really get this going. And I think for me, it's just wanting more time because I have so many ideas and I have so many programs that I could sell and I want to sell and I want to set up funnels for and do all these things. And it's like, you can only do so much at one time. And so for me, it's really reeling in going, what's the focus? So, this could be changing, obviously subject to change, but I've done a lot of research over the last week, and I'm most likely going to be selling a content course. So it's going to basically be the content module from my program. I'll be selling from my SOSA program. I'll be selling separately, that you can buy separately. And I'll probably do a free class before that, just to kind of help people understand the value of it, give them some tips, some strategies, just like any free event you do before you open cart for something. It'll be a super short launch, probably 5 days, because it'll be a low ticket course. But I'm really excited about it because it's one of like, I've always been timid for some of these kinds of courses because I feel like some of it requires coaching, but this one doesn't. This one totally, it's a lot of templates and examples, and it's things that you can basically, and I'm stealing this from a friend and a client, Brittany, who said from idea to execution, like from you have the content idea to how to put it out there in a cohesive way, to actually posting it, to pressing post, right? And so that's really what I want to guide you through. So that'll be coming in the next few weeks, most likely launch at the beginning of June, as I'm going back to New York and working on some things. And I'm so excited. This Saturday, I am surprising my mom, and she doesn't listen to the podcast, so I'm not worried that she'll hear this, but I'm supposed to be, she thinks I'm coming the following Friday, but I'm actually coming on Saturday, and she doesn't know that. So I'm surprising her for Mother's Day, which is really fun. And I haven't surprised her since college. So I'm really excited to surprise her. She's just going to freak out. I'd say I'd record it, but she would never let me share that. She's like, doesn't like social media, which I don't blame her. So probably won't record it, but I will tell you how it goes. I'm sure it'll be wonderful and beautiful. And I'm just so excited to spend some very needed quality time with my fam. Mike's staying back to make sure my dad's good. My dad is he's moving from a rehab facility to a long-term care facility now because he is not strong enough to go home. He can't really walk by himself yet. So we're just, I was there yesterday. I'll be there tomorrow. It's like every other day I'm back there. So that's been a lot emotionally too, but we're hoping he's getting stronger and he's getting great care, which is good. But Michael stayed back, and then my aunt is going to come watch him while we are in New York for a week. So we're getting all the ducks in a row. It's a lot of moving parts, but at the end of the day, I was on this podcast interview last week with one of my former clients, and just people I love more than anyone. I just adore her so much. She's one of my favorite humans in the world, Kay Hillman. And she was interviewing me for her podcast. And we were just talking about like how different life is now from a few years ago, and how different business is from a few years ago. And for me, it's just, I've shared this before, but it's just this feeling of ultimate contentment and ultimate like knowing and ease. And I don't say ease like it's easy. It's not. It's not, I won't lie, but ease as in, man, I feel so happy with where my life is, with who I'm talking to and the people I work with and my relationships and my marriage. And it's like, I could hit a financial goal, not hit one, and it doesn't matter. Like it's even with these big goals we have, if they don't happen in the timeline we want, it's okay. And we fully feel that. And it's like, it feels so good to feel that contentment and not be chasing something to give us happiness, because it won't. Now, yes, can it feed some happiness? Can it create some fun vacations and homes and all these really cool things? Totally. But at the end of the day, like, I'm happy. And this weekend was just such a reflection of that. And it just feels really good going into your business like that, because while again, yes, I have goals, I feel truly unattached to them. I can't say I felt that this year. I really did. But honestly, before that, it's been so much attachment. And so it's just been a really beautiful journey to get here, and a hard one. It hasn't been easy, but all right, this is getting long. I really just wanted to do an in-depth recap of this retreat. I'm not sure if they have availability for their September retreat. They might, but what I'll do is I'll definitely link Love Intentionally. It's just loveintentionally.co, I believe, on Instagram. I'll link their website, and I'll link James and Angela, their Instagram. Definitely reach out to them if you are interested in the couples retreat. 10 out of 10 recommend, cannot recommend it enough. It was absolutely incredible, and such a beautiful, beautiful house that they hosted the retreat at. It's gorgeous. And I can't recommend it enough. Like, every couple, if you can do this, if you can make it happen, make it happen. But they might have some spots. If you do, tell them I sent you. I would love that. And you know the drill. Take a second, share this episode with someone. I know this was a little bit different. It was focused more on relationships, but that's what behind the scenes is. And that's what my last week was. So I wanted to share this with you. I hope you found this interesting. Take a sec to share it, and I will see you in the next one, my friend.